people who really rule you.
This country and the elected.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I said I was gonna do it, and here I am doing it live on stream. I'm gonna cut it down and make a video, of course. But I'm reacting to Vivek. They said Vivek and Ryan, I think that's his name. Apparently, he has some policy propositions in here. Oh, I'm gonna watch it, find out, and if he says something stupid, I'm gonna call it out per usual. All right, let's dive right into it.
Officials are really just people who enjoy being on cable television at night. They say, okay, give them that. We don't, the people in the deep state, they don't thrive on attention and ego. So we'll give the Nancy Pelosi's and the Joe Bidens and the Republican equivalents the ego hit, the dopamine hit from being able to be a famous person who stands in front of a camera, when in fact, the real laws of this country are not passed in Congress. That is designed to look like a beautiful building. I took my 3-year-old son there, 3-4 weeks ago, maybe 3-4 months ago, when I was there for a Sunday show. It feels like you're going to a museum because that is not where the laws of this country are passed. They're passed in the drab administrative buildings that you would never dare go. It's designed to look and be boring for a reason. And I think one.
What? What? What are you talking about?
Once you see that, you understand why it is we are where we are. Because the question is, why on earth would we put these people in charge who couldn't pass a basic cognitive test if they were asked to perform a function or an activity of daily living? And the reason is that actually is just a symptom of the deeper problem, which is that the people we elect to run the government aren't even the ones who are actually running it.
What? People need to realize that, sure, these people are old, but they also have the most experience and knowledge, right? Do you want some young 30-year-old running the country? No, we don't. You want the most wisest people running the country. So they're going to be old.
And that was by design. And that's what I'm going in to fix, but we have to be able to see that with clear eyes. It's not just I'm a young guy versus these older guys. It's that I'm an outsider running against a system that is designed to keep the democratically accountable people, let alone an outsider, out of their business. And that's what's going on.
I mean, I see that, and I've been calling this out for a long time. I mean, a lot of people have been calling this out for a long time, especially when it comes to the deep state and the puppets and all this stuff. But, you know, maybe you have a little more insight. I can't figure out
I'm already
who
bored.
the deep
Like,
state...
I really just don't want to watch this. I'm so bored already. I'm like, I can't, bro. All right, let me go from right here. I don't care about it. I don't care about any of this. I'm gonna just go right
Dr.
here.
Drew and my wife
I'm already bored. I'm sorry. You want me to react to the whole thing? It's 2 hours
Susan
long.
here. We want to show you
I
something.
don't care.
You're probably seeing
Vivek just
this
spouts some
guy
nonsense
all
about
over
the
your
deep
feed.
state, like,
Right, I think that that's interesting to me. I went to school with kids at Harvard whose parents came from corridors that were totally unknown and unfamiliar to me, that I say, okay, well, if they're able to do it, maybe I should focus on that instead. To tell you the truth, if I was to go back and do it again, I would advise the younger version of myself and also begin to think about maybe civic service a little earlier in my life. But just to be totally honest about it, I was ready to win in the system of free market capitalism and use and put to use my knowledge base while doing it. And being a scientist, I mean, that's a 20-year career track to make, at best one drug or one medicine. Mm-hmm. Now, that's too long of a time horizon. I'm going to be in my middle ages by then. I'm ready to get started now. It was intellectually stimulating. And yeah, I was ready to make some money. And so I joined a hedge fund in New York and did so as a biotech investor. And it turned out I was actually, by some good fortune in my way, but I think I had some skill set for it too, tended to be pretty good at it. So I did start making a good amount of money at a young age. But for me, more than the money was the learning curve. I was learning a lot. And then when my learning curve, I felt like it started to flatten a little bit. Most importantly, that's where I met my wife.
I don't care. I thought you were about to talk about like education policy.
Wife. She was my next door neighbor.
Let's talk about that. What prompted that?
Yeah, so it was actually, so I got out of law school. I had the dual job and full-time law school experience. When I'm done with law school, I had a lot of time on my hands because I had gotten used to getting my job done in a very efficient use of time with the team surrounding me and otherwise. And so I ended up messing around a little bit with my extra time. I took a stand-up comedy course in New York City, ended up starting to do some shows on the side. I was really wasting my time, actually. I was having fun.
You were a rapper, and then you became a stand-up comic.
Yeah, I did about 10 shows in New York City after I got out.
That it makes sense because he's so good at talking with people. I'm not surprised, honestly. Shout out to you. I don't hate the guy personally. I think he's just very idyllic.
It's a couple of opportunities. One opportunity is there's a range of drugs and they move like herds. It's like a pack mentality in big pharma.
Okay.
And so they decide, okay, this is the hot area, but then they all decide, okay, something else in the hot area, they all move as a pack. It's almost softly coordinated. And the FDA aids in this too, because the FDA decides what areas they're gonna make easier versus harder from a regulatory perspective. It's corrupt. But that leaves.
You gotta prove that. I don't like you're just saying things, right? Obviously when it comes to drugs, they are moving in a way, right? But that doesn't inherently make it corrupt, and you have to prove them perpetuating ones and then shadowing others. You have to prove that.
Or at least it did when I started the company, I think it still does today, opportunities to develop medicines that they then leave behind as the battleships really change course. There's really a lot of opportunities still hanging in the wake of that battleship. So what I said is, okay, we can develop some of those drugs that they just dropped in the early or mid stages of the process, pick up the ones that are valuable. You don't know which ones are going to work for sure, but you can use a data-driven lens to figure out which ones have a good shot. Build a portfolio of those. Some of them are going to work, some of them are going to fail. But if enough of them work, that's the basis for building $1 billion company. So when I present that plan to people, people laughed at that. They say, well, why would these pharma companies leave these things behind if they have real promise? Well, a few years in, it was a multi-billion-dollar company. And it was a company that now has developed drugs, 5 of which that I personally worked on are FDA-approved products today. One is a light.
So he took advantage of the system that he thinks is corrupt. Like, what are we talking about, bro? Like, okay, come on. You should talk about something.
Control.
They only control the portion of the government they need to control, which is the FDA, which is the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, and they're pretty effective at controlling it. The FDA. Project succeeds, they get and that was the business model for Roivant, which I led as CEO for 7 years.
Wow, that's amazing.
Pharma hated me for it.
I'll bet they,
Big Pharma,
bet they did.
They still do to this day, actually.
Let's talk about Big Pharma.
Yeah.
You know, I've heard that Big Pharma is the world's biggest lobbying organization.
I think that's accurate.
How much of the government do they control?
They only control the portion of the government they need to control, which is the FDA.
Yeah, the FDA controls the FDA. Oh, you said Big Pharma. So the Big Pharma controls the FDA. Okay.
Which is the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS. And they're pretty effective at controlling it, actually.
Prove it.
So a lot of the regulatory hurdle for developing a new medicine, that actually helps Big Pharma because it makes it harder for a competitor to scale that same cost of capital. Simple story.
How is that corrupt? Let me hear it.
So just think about the hypocrisy underlying this. You see what happened with the COVID vaccines, right? The same FDA that says you have to take 10 years to develop a new medicine or a vaccine and spend billions of dollars. So much so that not only are we gonna not say it's safe, we won't even give an individual the opportunity to, in their own free spirit, with full information, try it. You don't even have the right to try it.
Is that true? I'm gonna have to fact check Vivek. Well, let me.
If it hasn't been through 10 years of testing, we, the government.
10 years. What's wrong with that? Wait, hold. What?
Will not give you that choice. Is the same government.
You know, he's using this to compare to COVID, a global pandemic that shut down the entire world, bro. People, like, bro, if COVID didn't happen, conservatives would be fucking. They would have died. Like that entire movement would have died. I swear to God.
that then says, oh, but here's a vaccine that makes it through in less than 1 year. And
what? Apparently Vivek wanted us to wait 10 years. 10 years without a vaccine. Okay.
you don't have the choice not to take it. Your only choice is to take it. You can't believe those things at the same time. That here's a medicine that's
So stupid. I can't, bro. I can't.
been through 5 years of testing, and you don't have the choice to take it even if you want to, is the same government that says that here's something that
You just named one extreme. Oh my god.
sailed through two things.
can't, bro.
So you have
I
it right
can't.
there. Is
No.
Big Pharma.
Do not. People on the right, do not. That's a horrible example. Come on.
Pharma wins on both sides of that trade. On one hand, they win process, but under circumstances where they're going to stand to benefit from it, we'll get a fast track process to say not only do you get to develop it at the public taxpayer's expense, by the way, funding the entire process, but mandates to have to take what they developed.
Okay. Taxes for better medicine? Like, what?
That's corrupt. That's
No,
broken.
it's not. No, it's not.
That's why I favor a drastic gutting
He has no idea what the fuck he's talking about. He's just chatting.
of the FDA.
No, he's not.
It's something
He
that
won't do
even,
shit.
my time in industry, here's what they would say.
Because there's no way he believes that the best solution is to make creating medicine standards lower. There's no way he actually believes that, right? And I would have to see, like, okay, should we change it to 5 years, 3 years? I would have to see evidence of that. I'd be willing if I saw the evidence, of course. So with AI technology, it probably could speed up the process. But he's just chatting. He doesn't really think this. If he actually was put in position and was like, and looked through all this stuff, he would know.
I had views that were critical of the FDA, but I had to keep them to myself because of the thing they told me, and I was running a company, right? My job was not being a public figure or a spokesman. It was to be the CEO of a successful company that I was leading, thousands of people, jobs created behind actually the medicines we're developing. I can't just leave them hanging out to dry because I say something.
It's crazy how he profited off this same business, bro. He's such a hypocrite. Oh my goodness.
Bad about the FDA. There's an old industry adage in pharma, quiet. Everybody in pharma knows this adage to be true. They say FDA never forgets. So if you say something about the FDA, they will make it hell for you. You will have hell to pay for it.
That's corrupt, but that happens in a lot of businesses. They have that. It's one of the most annoying things about certain things. Happens in unions too. Like, people with power take advantage of their power. That's inherently, yeah, of course. All systems have that level of corruption. You just have to prove that they're being corrupt and get them out of there. But that's not what it like.
And it was funny, actually, even when I went to law, the FDA is actually, somebody's working in the industry. People in the pharma industry aren't thought to think that way either. Whoa, the FDA is thought to be God.
What? I don't believe a single thing he's saying.
But the fact that they're bound by law, that's like a novel notion for most people who work in the interstices of this industry. And so that's the way it works. What you think of as some mid-level government bureaucrat when it comes to the pharma industry, and what does he want? He gets the job on the way out, a lucrative job on the other side. So that's the way this works. It is he want, he gets the job on the way. This guy's like a king when it comes to the pharma industry. And what does he want? He gets the job on the way out, a lucrative job on the other side. So that's the way this works. It is a corrupt game.
He has not proven a single thing. He hasn't proved a single corrupt thing. He brought up the extreme example of COVID. Everything else is hyperbole. Everything else, honestly.
And you know what? Now, I'm not CEO of that company. I'm a free citizen, speaking free, a personal sense
Sounds
of mission
bitter, honestly.
to make to the public.
Since we're on the
Basically,
topic of
you
privatized
said- talk about
companies
something else.
controlling the government, I'd like to get into BlackRock. You have some great insight on that. We're seeing this woke LGBTQ plus. I mean, it's just being crammed down everyone's throat.
Every
And
company
even
in America.
I mean, even the gay community. A lot of the gay communities, they're angry. They don't like this. They don't want this push. Why? So it sounds like it's all coming from BlackRock because they own what, 80% of the companies, or the majority shares of 80% of the companies on the S&P. Why are they pushing this?
So it's BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard, Invesco, you go down the list, but it's like an ESG cartel in this country. Okay, so
Bro, I can't watch this guy. I just can't. I'm trying. I can't watch him, bro. He's this. I just can't watch Vivek, bro. I can't. I'm having a mental breakdown. I really can't watch this. I can't watch this guy. I legit can't. All the crap spilling out of his mouth. I can't watch him. Like, at least what Trump says is funny. Like, I can't watch Vivek. I can't. I really can't. I just can't. I'm done. I don't want to watch it. You can't make me. I can't watch this, bro. If you have shorter clips, I'll probably make this a video how I had a mental breakdown reacting to Vivek